Now, Erie's premier podcast. News about music, health, and what's happening. It's Breakfast with Nat the Hat in the 814, sponsored by Erie Insurance.
Well, happy spring, everyone. I can't believe that I've been podcasting on WMCE LECOM for around 6 months now. You know, it has been an honor to share 1 hour a week with you as you and I learn about those making a difference in our diverse community, the place we call home. This week, I'm celebrating Women's History Month in the 814. I've got several extraordinary guests. We have Executive Director Catherine Ream of the Arc of Erie County. Also, she's the Regional Trust Liaison for the Chief of Family Trust, right?
That's right.
You got a lot going on, Catherine. You wear
do.
a lot of hats in the neighborhood. Let me tell you. The wife of our wonderful mayor, and it is Rhonda Schember. She is the board chair for the Arc of Erie County and the executive director of the Autism Society of Northwest Pennsylvania, Tish Bartlett. Welcome to the show. And then we'll wrap up with the three of you. And then I've got the executive director of the Community of Caring, Christine Tumba, on, and development director, Maureen Dunn. Well, to say that we have a full house on the 11th floor of the Renaissance Building is an understatement today. We are gathered to recognize the contributions and achievements of women in the 814. Women's History Month is not just about celebrating the exceptional names that are etched in the history books, but it's also about honoring our everyday heroes. Our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, the leaders that have made invaluable contributions to society. And today we speak to several of these extraordinary leaders. Let's start with you, Catherine. Catherine, tell us about you. Give us some background. Are you originally from the 814?
So I moved to Erie in December of 1990. So I've lived in Erie for 35 years, and this is really where I call home. This is where I raise my children. My children are all grown up now, and they're all over the place. But I definitely would call Erie home.
Great. And how long have you been with the ARC?
So that's an interesting question. So the Arc of Erie County has been around for about 72 years. And I really wanted Rhonda Schember to join us today because she's really the historian who knows about the history behind the Arc and the important work that the Arc did for 70 years before they came underneath the Achieva umbrella. So 2 years ago, the Arc of Erie County came underneath the larger umbrella of Achieva, and we have 6 smaller affiliates. So we're a family of organizations.
I saw that. I saw the map.
Yes.
There's a lot going on, ladies.
Yes. And I work for 2 of those affiliates. I work for the Arc of Erie County as the executive director and as a regional trust liaison for the Family Trust. So everyone that I work with in both of my roles are people with disabilities, and it's all I've ever done.
Rhonda, give us a little background. I hear you know the history of the ARC.
Well, I know a fair amount of it, as probably the oldest one here. Originally, as Catherine mentioned, the ARC got its beginnings 72 years ago. And it goes back to Dr. Gertrude Barber. She's responsible for starting the group. At the time, she was with the Erie School District, and parents of children with disabilities at the time had no classrooms and weren't part of the education system. And the parents got together, basically, and met with Dr. Gertrude, and through their meetings and their efforts to try and raise funds, going door to door and having Mothers March, there were women at the heart of
There's our history right there with Dr. Gertrude Barber.
Absolutely.
Interesting. And over 70 years. How did you become involved?
Well, about 38 years ago, I had twins, and our twin daughter was born with Down syndrome and later diagnosed with autism. So I am very familiar with the autism group as well. But that's when she was a few weeks old, we were introduced and met Dr. Barber. And had the conversation of what you expect, what you look forward to.
Right.
Because every child is different. And you don't put a label on a child and expect that they're all going to be the same, because they're not. And our daughter now, Jody, is 38, as I said. She's about 4'11", and her twin brother is 6'4".
What a difference.
Yes, quite a difference. And when she was about 6 or 7 years old, she lost all of her speech. Never really knew why. She was doing great at the time. But long story short, they blamed that on the autism aspect. So that's kind of how I got introduced. And through the years, we're very supportive of anything that Dr. Gertrude did, but also started different parent groups. We
Advocating.
Yes. You learn.
You started on the floor, the bottom floor of all this, right,
Ground
Rhonda?
level,
Ground
yes.
level, yes.
When our daughter was diagnosed with autism, very few kids were being diagnosed, and even fewer girls.
So you're talking 38 years ago.
Yes.
See why I wanted Rhonda to join us?
Oh, this is a great talk, because we're going back into the history of what has been done. And of course, we have Tish here from Tish Bartlett from the Autism Society of Northwestern Pennsylvania. So Tish, I see where all of you are in this collaborating mode together.
Yes, we collaborate quite a bit on offering parent trainings, community support. We work with our families for social training, therapeutic programs, education, but we also guide them when they need help, when they need maybe navigating an IEP or a school challenge. And that's when we reach out to the ARC of Erie County.
Right.
They have the actual advocate that will go to the school meetings. So
Nice.
we work very closely, and we entrust them with our families and help them guide those maybe misunderstandings and challengings in the school setting, because it's when you have a child diagnosed, whether it is autism or another disability, mental health disability, it's learning a whole new language. I mean, you have to become familiar with what an individual educational plan is, how to get the help your child needs within that school district and community. So the best thing we can do is work together. It takes a village.
It does take a village.
Yes, and we have an amazing village right here in our backyard in our community. There are so many wonderful organizations that come together to make sure that our families and individual get the resources that they need.
So starting with the mission of the ARC, Catherine, can you tell us?
So Rhonda told you a little bit about the history of when the ARC began, and I can tell you a little bit about kind of what my vision is, and Rhonda can kind of jump in on this too. We want all families that have anybody with a disability, a child or an adult, if they need advocacy, we want them to call us. It could be for an IEP, for a 504. It could be an issue with insurance. It could be anything, and we will help navigate that advocacy road. And we're also trying to do more things with parents. We're trying to have more physical get-togethers in Erie County where parents can get together and talk to each other. And Rhonda will tell you that in December, we had a get-together with some families in Erie. And I specifically asked Rhonda to come because a lot of the families that are coming to these events are young families with little kids. And Rhonda has the history and the background of where the ARC came from. So she can talk a little bit about how things used to be, and we can talk about how we can change the world for the future.
So let's talk about the used to be's and where we're at now, Rhonda.
I think the used to be's were that you are alone with your child. I joke that it was almost 3 years before I met another parent of a child with Down syndrome. And as a result, when I met her, we actually started a Down syndrome group. And so you find that when you have the opportunity to talk to other parents, there's so many things beyond education that you really need help with. It doesn't matter what the diagnosis is. Many of us have to see the same doctors, the same specialists, the same dentist, the same eye physician. And for years had to go out of town to get that. You know, we've been to Akron and we've been to Pittsburgh and we've been to Buffalo. Now, a lot of that is much closer to home.
What an eye-opener, Rhonda, thinking about that.
It's very different. And when you talk to young parents now, you can say, well, I did this, but there are probably some other physicians who might do it a little differently, do a little bit of research, check with other parents to see who they're going to, who's having good results. You don't have to go out of town all the time. You can find the expertise and the knowledge closer to home.
So these get-togethers that you have to be so informative to younger parents.
Primarily, you'll find that they all have questions.
Sure.
And, you know, they may have encountered a problem and don't know who to go to. You know, don't know how to address this particular medical issue with their child. And oftentimes we can say, well, been there, done that. Mm-hmm. This is how it turned out, and give that a thought. But you never have a fear of asking a question. It doesn't matter what it is. Someone is going to have some input and offer suggestions on what approach you might want to take.
And things are much different now, Natalie. So when a mom and a dad are going to have a baby, sometimes they know that their son or daughter will have a disability ahead of time.
Yes.
And if they do, there's counseling that they can get. They can talk with doctors and nurses about this is what your child is going to have, and these are the resources that are available to you. When Rhonda was having her kids, that wasn't something, I don't think, right, Rhonda, that you could ask. So there's help ahead of time now if you know that you're going to have a son or a daughter with a disability. That doesn't mean they have all the answers, but at least prepares you and connects you to important community resources that can help guide you.
Let's talk about employment training, too, because I see a lot of our friends in the community, you know, being employed, doing different things. And it just, I go to Wendy's and there's some gal there and she cleans for them and she picks up everything out into the, and she is fabulous. Like, how do we go about getting our students and those that are able to work out in the community? Do the businesses have to go through some certifications or trainings prior?
So, well, at the Autism Society, one of our initiatives that I started near the end of 2023, and it's a major focus for 2024, is I have an Autism 101 Embracing Neurodiversity in the Workplace training. And I go out, I have 8 trainings so far scheduled for 2024 at local businesses. And we are also going out of the area to Franklin and the Hermitage area. So Venango County and Mercer County.
Speaking, I was going to ask, how many counties are you involved with?
The Autism Society's umbrella, Northwestern Pennsylvania, is Erie, Crawford, Venango, and Mercer. Our main supports, our family activities, our therapeutic programs, social and sensory outings are right here in Erie County because our family center is right here in the heart of Erie on State Street. Mm-hmm. We invested in a building.
You're up on 33rd, right?
Yep, 3308 State Street, right across from the Jefferson Society. We invested in a property in 2021 and renovated. Just finished our second phase of the lower level. And we added a lift, aka elevator, All the teens love that. I think it's the best thing. But that makes us 100% ADA. So our doors are open to everyone, no matter what their needs are. But we have really focused on embracing what you were talking about as an employment initiative. We will have individuals that are profoundly affected that need a lifetime of supports, but they also have the rights to be able to learn those job and life skills to whatever that capacity could be. But when you're talking about our higher functioning individuals, they're going to need to live as independently as possible and have sustainable employment. So we're doing a twofold. We're educating our local employers. It's okay to hire. It's all right. And simple accommodations that really do not cost a lot can make it a successful relationship. On the other side is we're providing a Skills to Pay the Bills program, ages 14 to 22.
Take that back. Skills to what?
To pay the bills.
I love it.
It's a 5-module program. We break it down. It works on banking, those simple things of how to write a check, how to use an ATM. Who do you share that information with? How to balance your checkbook, how to budget, making those decisions. Are you buy that $900 cell phone? Are you going to be able to pay the electric bill? You know, those adulting challenges.
Sure.
We do household skills. You know what we all have to do? The washing, the dishes, the mopping, the cleaning the bathroom. We're teaching them how do you do that. Pet care, because all of them want animals, but you got to remember they require a lot of care, full-time care. Life and job skills. How do you dress appropriate in the workforce? You know, how do you communicate with your coworkers? How do you ask your supervisor for time off? The do's and don'ts. You know, it's kind of known individuals with autism don't always have that filter from what pops into their mind comes out of their mouth. We're teaching them of what is that appropriate in and out of the office type of speech. Cooking. Navigating, we work with a local nonprofit called Common Threads. They come in and they do a full nutrition and cooking lessons. Our young, I say kiddos, but they're really young adults. Go to the grocery store, learn how to navigate the grocery store, and come back and make a full meal, which was delicious. And some of them have discovered they love to cook, and so they're cooking at home for mom and dad. And then lawn maintenance. We have a very small plot of grass in the front of our building. We got a electric walking lawnmower. They learn how to mow the grass, how to use our battery operated weed whacker, and then they sign up throughout the summer. And it has been full every summer since we started the program. We start in May, and they asked us to go through October, and we're like, well, if you know the S word, the snows, please don't mow. But they want to do it. I know, bad word. I said a bad word. But they want to do it. They love giving back. So it's so exciting to see their skills grow and develop. And then some of our moms and dads are surprised. We had one mom that came to our mom's wine and cheese. Her son comes every week with his classroom and vacuums. That's what he wants to do. He vacuums the whole family center, which I'm thankful because I'd like a riding vacuum. But
like a riding mower?
Yes, like a riding mower. And mom's like, he's never vacuumed the house.
Of course not. That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
But as soon as he walks in, he's like, Miss Tish, can I vacuum? Like, yes, please do. So we're working on all of those essential life and job skills. So, and I, as I reiterated, and both Catherine and Rhonda can say, it's going to depend. Everybody's future is going to look different for their needs and wants. But every individual with a disability or not has a right to a full, enriched life, whatever that looks like. And so we're really working and striving to give them those tools in their toolbox to live the fullest life.
Tish Bartlett from the Autism Society of Northwest Pennsylvania, Catherine Reen, Rhonda Schember from the Arc of Erie County on the show today. And I see where all this is intertwined, just like you would make a scarf and everybody is putting in a little bit of everything. the umbrella that you are doing over at the Autism Society and all the different things that you are teaching them and learning for those with disabilities is incredible, Tish. And I know that with the ARC, tell me, we are the ARC of Erie County, but I mean, the ARC is in New York. I mean, is this a national organization, ladies?
It is. It is a national organization, yes.
Okay.
All across the country, you will find ARCs in all kinds of communities. And we have an ARC in Crawford County. We have an ARC in Mercer County. ARCs across the country do different things. And our focus at the ARC of Erie County is advocacy. That is what we do. We want to help families get connected to resources.
And and thinking about those parents that know in advance that something is going to be different, and to be able to share and talk to people like you that can help them in figuring it all out.
Yeah, and Tish, I'm so sorry,
That's
Natalie.
okay.
Let me thank you, because you said earlier you were talking about the gal at Wendy's. Thank you for seeing her. So many people look past people with disabilities like they're not even there.
Right.
And that's so unfair. Everybody deserves to live a life of personal significance, and that looks different to everybody. Whether you have a disability or not, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for seeing her.
She is adorable, by the way. And, when I go in there, because I'm a biggie bag girl. I don't know about any of you. But in a pinch, biggie bags are awesome. And I go in there with her, and she's always in the dining room. And, she'll talk to me about what she's doing. And then I always say, "Are you allowed to get tips?" And she said, "Sure." So, biggie bag tip, I'm on my way. But it's important to see beyond that and how focused they are on their jobs and their positions, right, Tish?
Yes, that's the one thing I say. I mean, I believe you can find a more dedicated employee. We have a young man who is a part of the autism side that works at Chick-fil-A. And if he hears this, he's going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And he works in, I'm not sure what the position's called, but when you order and you sit down, then they bring you your tray. He really should be in marketing, because he's out marketing Chick-fil-A. You have to go. You need to go. He told me I was weird because I don't eat chicken. And he said Chick-fil-A has the best chicken, so you really need to try it. But I mean, people just go there just to visit him because he loves his job, and you can feel that love. And he wants everyone to come and eat at Chick-fil-A. So check it out.
So let's talk about how long that the Autism Society of Northwest Pennsylvania has been here, Tish. How long has the organization been
The Autism
around?
Society is also a part of a larger affiliate network. There is an Autism Society of America that was started in 1969. Now there are just over 70 affiliates across the United States. And I'll just put in a little plug. Our local Autism Society was selected as the 2023 Autism Affiliate of the Year. So
Congratulations.
we were honored with an award that we were the Affiliate of the Year.
Where did you have to go get this award? Did you have to go
They mailed it.
They mailed it.
They mailed it, and then they did a Teams presentation at their annual meeting with all the affiliates. So
That's fantastic.
So it was really heartwarming, and such a surprise out of 70 affiliates around the world that we were picked. And
You're doing great work.
we're doing great
So,
work.
Natalie, as you can see, just from the people around this table, the passion.
Oh, I
The
love it.
passion is incredible.
Absolutely.
So we've been in Erie for 2 decades now. We are a part of a national organization, but we are all independent. We share the name and the brand, but we are all independent with our programming and our funding. Us personally, we're 100% fundraising dependent. We're trying to evolve, but yes, we are still 100%. But so we've been right here in the heart of Erie, and Rhonda probably knows our history better than me as well, where they started in the 80s, but didn't really form into an official organized nonprofit until the late 90s. And then I've been with the organization for 15 years now. And since my tenure, that's when we launched all of the programming. We had the autism walk, but we really didn't do therapeutic programming. So that's evolved under my tenure in the last 15 years.
So Rhonda, let's go back to the historian a moment.
Yes.
Rhonda, now she had said that you were part of this beginnings of the Autism Society. Tell us more.
Again. It was,
I love this.
It was mothers who started it. And I went to some of the initial gatherings. I know these women. And, you know, I offered the flip side of not just autism, but a dual diagnosis. And so, you know, we would talk a lot about that in the beginning. And it was primarily young families that they were attracting who basically just wanted to meet other parents of children with autism.
Exactly.
And what do you do? And again, each child was different. Some could talk, some could not. Some could walk, others could not. So it's very individualized when you get a diagnosis, whether it's autism, whether it's a developmental disability. There's a lot of them out there. Some are recognizable on sight and others aren't. You can't tell. But it's nice to see different things that are accomplished. And it's very possible that this young woman that you see at Wendy's is the daughter of one of our founding parents from many years ago, because she's worked there forever.
Yeah,
I think. And
I think she told me she's been there forever, too. I do believe so. But I love going there because I know that I will see her and we have great conversation. And she's been there for years. You're right, Rhonda. I think you probably would know.
She is probably, and a lot of our, our founding members, it's wonderful. They're still around to offer guidance. And we like to say when we have our younger moms come in and they feel overwhelmed that we connect them with our seasoned parents because, now that I'm a seasoned parent, it sounds much better than our older parents. So we're seasoned.
So when we talk about autism and parents realize that something is not right, do they start with your organization? They can call you, talk to you, then you will make those connects so they can make those decisions, of course. And as Rhonda says, everybody's different. We all are different.
Mm-hmm. So the first and foremost, if a parent is noticing that their child is not developing according to, the check marks, maybe they're not babbling or they're not sitting up or rolling over, we always say to get an evaluation. They do not have to start with the Autism Society. We don't actually do evaluations and testing. But if they do call us and say, my 3-year-old is not talking, I'm concerned, we'll refer them out to local here in Erie. We also have the amazing Erie County Care Management that can give them referrals. I'm sure if they called Catherine at the ARC, then she would do the same thing. Absolutely. The best thing is get them connected to a local place here in Erie to do that diagnosis, get the evaluation, find out what it is. Early intervention is such an important component for all of our individuals with a developmental disability, no matter what it is. Those early years can really help them with better outcomes as they grow and preparing them for school. School is very busy.
Yes, school is very busy. And, that's interesting. You should talk about the educational aspect because Rhonda at one time said they didn't have anything.
Well, many years ago, if you had a child with a disability, even 50 years ago, lots of times you were told to put that child in an institution and go on with your life. I mean, can you imagine? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, just 50 years ago, that was happening. So all of this stuff that we're talking about today, as everything has evolved, people with disabilities need to be right at the center of the table. It's their life.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we're talking advocacy with the ARC. We're talking the Autism Society for all the different family programs. And then Rhonda, our historian, telling us where everything came from, and Gertrude Barber was so she's just revered.
Yes.
Let's
Beyond her years and her vision.
Yes, she was a true visionary for what was needed, because you wouldn't know that physicians have maybe part of one chapter in their many, many books of years of education, one tiny chapter on disabilities. You know how many disabilities there are? They don't know everything and have to do research to find it. And we used to be able to get connections straight from the hospital. We had a parent who was a nurse, and she knew everybody in that hospital had a child with a disability, and it was great. But then HIPAA came along, and you're not allowed to know anything. And so it's very difficult to connect with brand new families who have a diagnosis and get them in touch with other parents and just a basic understanding of what to do.
Right.
And the best thing I can say today is if anybody is out there not knowing or concerned or lost or has a friend, either call the Autism Site or call the ARC. We work so closely together. We can get you connected to the correct resource.
Yes.
I know that can happen just by sitting here at the table with you ladies. Definitely so. Tish, I know there's some things coming up for the Autism Society of Northwest Pennsylvania. Please fill us in. I'd love to know. And I'm sure our listeners would too.
Yes. Oh, thank you. So our 23rd annual Walk for Autism is coming up on April 27th out at Lake Erie Speedway. And as I mentioned briefly, we are dependent 100% on fundraising dollars. So this is our signature event. We bring in anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 people, but don't panic. There is plenty of room at the Speedway.
Oh, there is. I know.
Yes, we have lots of room, so it's very spacious. And it's more than that 2-mile awareness walk. It's a day. It's a festival. We have a large basket auction, merchandise tent. We have a kids zone with sensory interaction activities, entertain those kiddos, a face painter. We even have I call it a stuffy. I don't know what it is. You buy this little bear and they blow it up, and you can buy outfits, and so you can build your own.
Everything now.
Make your own bear there. We have local food trucks, 5 amazing local food trucks, bounce houses. So, and every year we try to add something new.
Give us your website so then people know what's going on and can participate.
Yes, please. Our website is autismnwpa.org. Nice and simple, autismnwpa.org. Pre-registration to make sure you get the 2024 commemorative apparel is April 1st.
Oh, commemorative apparel. Tell me more.
Every year we have a hoodie or long sleeve or t-shirt. You get to select what you would like most that is signature for that year.
Oh, great. Well, ladies, thank you for committing yourself to such great organizations in the 814. It's Executive Director Catherine Ream from the ARC of Erie County and Achieva, Board Chair Rhonda Schember of the ARC, Executive Director Tish Bartlett from the Autism Society of Northwest Pennsylvania, celebrating your achievements and your work to create a more just and equitable world for all. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much, Natalie.
Thank you.
And now we have Christine Tombaugh, Executive Director of the Community of Caring, and Development Director Maureen Dunn. Welcome to Breakfast with Nat the Hat in the 814 for Women's History Month in the 814. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello to you.
Christine, let's talk. Have you always been in the 814, my friend?
Absolutely.
So, high school, college, where?
I moved to Texas a long time ago, but I moved back.
Did you? Where in Texas were you?
Fort Worth.
Were you in Fort Worth? I was in
With the Cowboys.
I was in Corpus Christi with the beach bums for a few years back in the day. So you went to Texas for a while and came back. And how long have you been with Community of Caring?
With Community of Caring, I was on the board for 7 years. And then in January of 23, I became the executive director.
Great. Now, Maureen, give us background on you, too, because I know you know my friend Jane.
Yeah.
So we must run in all these same circles.
The same circles, yes, and proud of it.
Are you from the 814 your whole life?
Yes, a little bit of a departure for a few years, 3 years, a few years ago to Las Vegas. I had
Vegas?
Yes. I had family there. I have family there now, but I always kept my 814
We always
telephone
come back.
number.
We always
We
come
love
back.
our 814.
It's home. It's always home.
So let's start with the Community of Caring and where you're located.
We're at 245 East 8th Street.
Okay.
A transitional, actually an emergency shelter for homeless men and women.
Okay.
And we're talking about chronic homeless
Those
individuals.
that have been out on the streets for quite some time.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. You know, let's start on the history of the organization. You know, I heard it started with a few bags of groceries.
Back in the day, Mother Kennedy and her husband Charles, they had a church there at 245 East 8th, and they kept on getting homeless people coming around. And so they put a couple bunks in the back of the church and got some groceries and started giving out groceries and then bringing people in to sleep. And it just blossomed into a homeless shelter.
How many years has the Community of Caring been taking care of our homeless?
73. That's wrong. I'm 73. I shouldn't be telling my age. 43 years.
43 years.
Right.
Have you been at the same facility?
Yes and no. They had a couple different places, and but they ended up back at 245.
Well, Mother Mary Beth Kennedy and Elder Charles Kennedy have certainly left a legacy of love and service that the two of you are involved in today.
Absolutely.
To continue that. So let's talk about the different services that we have over a Community of Caring. Maureen?
Well, I think obviously the main and the most important is the emergency shelter, which is 24/7, and people can come and be there for a day, for a night, for months at a time. It totally depends on where they're at and, you know, how much they want to be involved, because one of the things that once they kind of come in and they get settled, they literally come in with the clothes on their back oftentimes. And I really give kudos to the advocates, because when someone comes in, they really have no idea what their need is, you know, what their history is, what they're dealing with. And so they come in, they get them settled, they do an intake, get as much, you know, pertinent information to at least get them in and settled. And then after that, the main goal always is moving people into permanent housing, you know, whether that's a supportive permanent housing, but then even before that, they really have to kind of go through the goals and find out, okay, where are you at? What do you need? Do you have your Social Security card? Do you have a driver's license? Do you have ID? Are you able to find employment? Do you need counseling? Do you need your mental health services? So that is a big part of it. And that can take quite a while. Then plus they've been through so much trauma. When they do come in, they need to have a little time just to kind of get settled and normalized and, you know, just have a safe place to put their head and just sort of decompress.
Do you see more individuals in the winter months than in the summer? Does it depend?
It really depends. It used to be a lot of times in the winter, people would be stable somewhere, even if it was a friend. A lot of times they would be with that friend. And so come April, then they start moving out of the friend's house. And a lot of times in the spring, we see a flux of more people coming in. This past winter, it's been unbelievable. The homeless individuals have gone up, not only in Erie, Pennsylvania, but all over the country. And almost every night we were full. And we have 19 beds for women and 28 beds for men. And on any given day, those beds were full.
Wow.
And even there's an overflow shelter in Erie. And they take 40 people off the streets every night. They just stay there overnight, and then in the day they have to go on their way. A lot of times they go to the they sleep at St. Patrick's Haven, the upper room. They'll go through the day or mental health association. We then have 6 bunks that we put up in our dining room if they don't have enough room for the homeless that just want a place for the night.
So you are collaborating with a lot of other shelters
Absolutely.
in downtown Erie too, correct, ladies?
Correct.
Gotcha. I got to tell you that I was driving up the Bayfront from down on 2nd Street, going up to East 38th Street. And after 12th Street onto the right, because there's no leaves on the trees and such, there's like a tent city that is there. You don't see it in the summer months or when there's leaves on the trees, but there are people living there.
Living in the tents.
In the tents.
Well, they do have homeless out. Yes, that definitely is happening.
Yes.
But I think to be fair that we have to say that there is a homeless outreach. And so often, they know about these people and they'll go and they'll meet with them and find out what they need. And so there is outreach to them. But so often, the people don't want to come in. They don't want to be in a shelter. They don't want their own apartment. So, it's really trying to find the balance of letting them know that there are people out there that care, that there are services if they need them. But again, what you're seeing when you're driving around and the people on the streets, so often it is because of mental health, because they're not in a place, they're not stabilized, someone's not watching out for them, not connecting them to whatever services they need, not connecting them if they need their medication. And then that's really kind of the downward spiral that we see. And then so often people, when they don't have the opportunity like Chris and I to really see people and, understand their story and where they've been, you find out these are real people that, Chris we're doing a story for the newsletter and, people had lives. And when you hear the stories of how they just kind of things unraveled, these are real people. And I think what I find that just knowing this and seeing this and being able to share this so often with people that I know and just kind of clarifying the situation a little bit to say, hey, these are real people. When you kind of look past, what you see on the outside, there's people that need the services. And I think that's why it's so important that we do collaborate really strongly with the other agencies, organizations, and not just other shelters, but like Community Health Net, and to find out what's out there to
I think
really
it's
help
important for the audience to know that the homeless people that are out there, they really want to be respected, they want to be valued, and they want to be heard. And so often they're overlooked. You'll see somebody on the street and you just kind of pass over them. And, most of all, what we do at Community of Caring is we treat people with respect. We treat them with value. We treat them with compassion, and hoping that they will understand that we are there to help them with whatever their needs are.
Right. So when we talk about the different needs, there's also a pantry, correct?
Correct.
Do you have a pantry for them? Is there any other service besides?
Well, for anybody that comes and lives at Community of Caring and we become their home, when they come in, they get food, shelter, and clothing. So whatever they need. So there's 3 meals a day. There's snacks. If they need shoes, if they need socks, if they need underwear, all those things are provided for them. Shaving cream, soap, and those are the things that we really need from the community, donations of those kind of items.
Right.
But then we do have a food pantry for people that live in their own homes and they still need food to help them with their budgets. And that's up at 21st and German. And we've had that food pantry for years, and we actually have the only diabetic food pantry in the city of Erie.
That's good to know.
And that's every Tuesday from 10 to 12 at 249 East 21st Street. We are just moving this week to a new building.
That's great. Glad to be a part of this right now.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the press. When we're talking about the community of caring, and of course, caring about the basic human needs for our people that are here. And I know that on everybody's radar right now is the fact that homelessness is up. Christine, you and I have talked in the past about the numbers. So let's talk about the numbers that the community of caring serves.
So we last year, we'll use our numbers from last year, we had 341 individuals, that's men and women, and that was, unduplicated. So that's how many people came through our doors. But some of those people stayed 365 days. Some of them might have stayed 60 days. So, when I say we're mostly always full, that's why. Somebody moves out, and within probably a day or two, somebody else takes that bed. The food pantry, we serve over 600 families and give over 6,000 food bags a year, and meals, almost 18,000 meals. So there's there's a lot of things that we do for the women and men that come in to our shelter.
So Maureen, you talk about some of these people. Can you tell us a story of somebody that community of caring has served?
Well, I think I'm going to pass that one to Chris only because she just met with somebody. And the way when you talk to this and find out, you don't really sit down and say, it just kind of comes out almost kind of organically. And then you start listening and you hear their story. So I just heard the one that Chris was just speaking about. And it's just unbelievable.
Chris?
I'm going to call her Evelyn just
Perfect.
Because I like that name.
I do too.
But Evelyn was a sweet girl, and she came to us a little over a year ago. And always, smile on her face, a small little thing, just so petite. And but always very friendly. And she wanted to help us grow our garden and everything last year. So her and I just started talking one day, and she kind of shared her life with me. And she was a soccer mom. She had a minivan. She lived in a beautiful home in Mill Creek. And back in the day, this is like, you're talking 20 years ago or more, she had to get some dental work done. And so she went on pain pills. And then from those pain pills, she got addicted to those pain pills. She lost her home. She lost her children. She lost her minivan. And she ended up on the streets and kind of going from place to place, kind of hooked up with some other people that were out there, but continued to stay in what she calls her nasty addiction. And she did really well for a while. She was clean and sober for 9 years. And then 2 years ago, she just says, I don't even know why, but I just picked up and started using again. And she was one of the people that would live in the tents in the different hillsides and up by the zoo and different places with a male friend of hers. And they eventually got married, and he was using too. And she finally woke up one morning and said, I can't do this anymore. And she called to anybody that is homeless to get into any shelter, they have to call 814-SHELTER. And at 814-SHELTER, they take your history and then they'll give you the options. These are the places that have beds for you tonight. Which one would you like to go to? So she ended up at our Mary Rose Sanctuary. And she came in, she was high as a kite. And she says, I felt like a zombie, but just from the compassion and the caring of the staff that were there, she kind of melted and she kind of fit in, and she decided to stay, and she got clean and sober. And so did her husband, who actually lived in our male shelter at the same time. So the wife was in the female shelter, the man was in the male shelter. And they just, decided to stay clean and sober. They got help. They went into recovery. And today they have their own apartment.
Oh, that's a success story.
And she comes back and volunteers. And as soon as she's been out long enough, she says, the next time you have an opening, please give me a job. And she's just a great woman who has come so far. And she now is talking to her children.
That's a successful story. Speaking of that, how many people do you have working at the shelter right now?
17 of us.
Mm-hmm. That's quite a few.
Well, it is because we're 24/7, 365 days. So we're always there. Somebody always has to be there. And plus you have secretary and maintenance people and a driver that picks up the food and everything. So we have great staff. Without the staff and the volunteers that we have, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Speaking of volunteers, can you always use volunteers?
Absolutely. We can always use volunteers.
Sure. It's Executive Director Christine Tombaugh, Development Director Maureen Dunn from the Community of Caring on the show today. And I'm sure there's many, many stories that you could share, because there is always the root cause: mental health, addiction. There are so many variables. Losing your job, you know what I mean? Not paying your bills, ending up out on the streets. And, right now in downtown Erie, we are on overflow when it comes to homelessness. And I know there's been a lot of organizations that have looked into this and are putting together plans to try and help or make things better or find places for them to live. But when you say 365 days, so Christmas Eve.
Absolutely.
You're welcoming your people in.
Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. And then even around the holidays, we always have some special meal for our clients, and many times it's open to the community, like many other agencies do also.
Yes.
I mean, all of us open our doors at the holidays and try to make our holidays special. And we, on Easter coming up soon, each of our clients will get a cute little Easter basket. Well, it'll really be in a bag, but it will be darling. And some of them don't even remember ever getting a gift at Christmas time or an Easter basket. So, that's when the smiles come out, when they see just those little things that we do for them.
I heard that the Erie Community Foundation, a little bird just told me you had some situation and you got yourself a new vehicle, correct?
We did,
Tell
yes.
me about that.
Unfortunately, our van was in an accident and it was totaled. And that was our transport van to transport our clients. And so the Erie Community Foundation, who is wonderful to the community and really understands the whole homeless problem within the area, they will give you half of what a vehicle is. Well, when we got insurance money, well, guess what? That only paid for half of a van. And so then the Erie Community Foundation donated to us the other half of our van. So
now, Christine, when you say that you take your clients, do you take them to appointments and things of that nature? Is that what's going on with the van?
Not very many appointments necessary, but we do take them to get their ID, if they need to go to get their birth certificate,
right,
and those kind of things. We can't really take everybody to all their doctor's appointments and whatnot, but there's the lift, and we just get them with other mainstream agencies that can help them with some of those things. But if we had to, we would. I mean, many times we have taken one of our clients to the pharmacy to get their medicine. I mean, so, there's always those exceptions, We'll do whatever we have to do to make their stay at Community of Caring something special.
So if people want to donate, you've got some big things coming up.
I'll turn that over to our
Maureen,
director.
our development director. We know you
Again.
You've got the goods, girl.
You've heard it here first.
Great.
So this past year, Chris and I both started a year ago, January, and it was just very, very, very busy getting things, back up and running and looking at things. And so we didn't really have a lot of time to plan fundraisers, but even though that's what we love to do. So we are now to the point where that's what we're planning. We have a couple coming up, but we also feel that there's a value to that because, first of all, it helps you get your name out there, and then it brings people into the fold and they get to hear, more about what you're doing and have a little bit of fun. So the one that we're having is May 9th, and that is going to be an art show that we're going to have at the City Gallery with Steve and
with
Lena.
Steve Trahosky and Lena.
Yes.
I am coming. What is the date on that?
Well, it is. It's Thursday night.
A Thursday night.
And it's just after we like to do an after work type of thing. So it's the 9th.
I love the gallery.
Well, yes.
What's going on there?
You're going to see because in front of you have a wooden birdhouse, and we're going to ask you to decorate that, and that's going to be part of the silent auction.
Oh, I'll do that.
Yeah, so we have a silent auction, and it's going to be different artwork. We have a local artist, whether it's painting or pottery.
I am glad that the birdhouse is already made because I would have never been able to do that. But I think I can take care of the painting of it.
Oh, well, and you can do whatever you want.
I am an avid bird watcher.
That's wonderful.
I have spent like the 3 years when I was down in Corpus Christi, which is like the straight path for the birds flying south and coming back.
Sure.
That's why we went. It's the birdiest capital in
I did not
in
know
the
that.
nation.
Know that either.
Corpus Christi. I mean, so I'm very excited about this.
Well, and the gallery itself to walk in, it's kind of nice for our first one because you walk in and it's so beautiful. So we don't have to do a lot with decorations and things like that.
and they're wonderful people.
And Lena is a fabulous artist. Oh, my goodness. A plug for Lena.
Absolutely. And like I've gone down there because, of course, I'm a musician. My husband is. He's played with Steve in the past. So we always go in there and listen to great music and enjoy the art. And we can't wait to enjoy this special night.
Well, and they do so much for the community.
Yes,
so
they
when we
do.
first thought of doing this, they were just our first choice because we wanted to do what we can to support them and because they've done so much for us in particular.
And the Erie Gives is coming up too. So
Right.
please remember our friends here at the Community of Caring.
And also, though, in August,
Ooh.
we have our first golf tournament coming up.
Nice.
On August 7th. So
August 7th.
please call us if you're a golfer and spread the word. It's going to be at Mound Grove. And it's going to be a fun day. Very fun day.
How about the website so people can get
Yes.
onto your website?
It literally, this is hot off the press right now, and we're coming up with the graphics and the flyers and everything, but that will all be on Facebook, both of the events, and on the website. And so people can register on the website for that.
Which is www.
COCErie.org. So
COCErie.org. Very easy.
Yes, we try to keep it.
And our
easy.
phone number is 814-456-6661.
Play that
That's
number.
easy.
A lot of sixes.
Play that
Oh
number.
my gosh, Maureen, you're like me. 6661.
I know, right?
I will be doing that. Well, fantastic. Thank you. I look forward to doing this and then coming to the art show for the silent auction.
And it's fun. It's fun. So,
It is a great evening.
And the golf people are very enthused about that. Of course, we always rely on our, friends of many years to come and support us. But then we always like to bring new people, as well, too, and then share with them where we are now and what we're doing. And so
Very nice.
it's exciting.
Well, celebrating the achievements of women in the 814 during Women's History Month, recognizing that gender equality is not just a lofty ideal, but a lived reality where women's voices are heard and respected, contributions are valued in every aspect of our society. And in closing, let us honor the resilience, the strength, the spirit of women everywhere, including you too. Celebrating your achievements and amplifying your voices. Thank you for creating a more just and equitable world for all. Mother Mary Beth Kennedy, who co-founded Community of Caring and the Community County Day School, who didn't just go with the status quo, was quoted as saying, "It's amazing what God has done for us." Her biggest contribution was her legacy of love. She really believed that love could change the world. Her mission and legacy lives on through wonderful women like the two of you at the Community of Caring. I want to thank you for coming on the show today. And I want to wish everybody a blessed week in the 814. And thank you. You are.
Thank you, Natalie.
You
and
are.
You also are one of those wonderful, fabulous women.
Thank you.
You've been tuned in to Breakfast with Nat the Hat in the 814, sponsored by Erie Insurance on 88.5 and 102.7 LECOM Radio.